And I'm just taking a quick break, clean the knife up, doing a little food prep here. Ooh, this is close. Look how nice this slices through the meat. Bam. Simple. This thing has a great edge. It's awesome. So definitely capable of creating some nice, fine little feathers. But the question now is, what about the back of the spine? So this is the unsharpened version, and just seeing if this is capable of, let me plane this down first. Just capable of doing some of this scraping work here. This definitely feels like it is capable. You can see it kind of fluffing this up here. Now, my technique's not going to be very good. I have a little bit of a damaged thumb, so it's a little bit difficult to grip the knife to do this at the moment, but this does seem to be definitely doing some scraping tasks here. So if I had to process down some little bit of fluff here, I think I certainly could. Now, I'm sure the other spine would do a little bit of a better job being really squared off, but for me, this seems to do actually a pretty decent job. And so it does seem as though this is capable of doing some modest scraping tasks on the wood, but what about striking a ferro rod? Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's very good. I mean, even without the fully squared off spine, the ability to actually shower some decent sparks without a ton of effort. That's a good sign. And finally, some stabbing tasks. How's this going to feel in the hand? Well, I can tell you a couple of things right away. First is, if I grip the handle down here with my pinky against the guard, it's definitely gonna hurt. And this handle is quite long, so in order for me to get a good sort of purchase on the blade with my thumb up on the top of the handle, I kind of need to get away from the guard, which has me holding the knife up here. Now, this is also just a little bit on the sharp side from my thumb, so when I use a reverse grip holding the knife to stab here, it is a little sharp and a little uncomfortable. So for these stabbing tasks, I would say this is definitely not the best. I can just kind of grip the knife right in the middle of the handle and get a good overall grip. So for general stabbing, it will work, but I can tell you it is definitely not the most comfortable. And now finally, to wrap this up with just a little bit of prying. Here you'll see this wood here is just a little bit dead. So kind of going at it here to make sure there's no heat treat issues. So first I'll go after some of this dead wood, and then back here it's actually a little more firm. Just general sort of stabbing and torquing on the tip of the blade, making sure there aren't going to be any problems with the heat treat on this D2 tool steel. Doesn't seem to have any problem at all. So alright, at this point I've pretty much finished up my field testing, and I have to say this knife performed wonderfully. Now taking a look here, basically you can see the overall quality of the finish. Now I have added just the slightest coating of grease here, pretty much to help clean up the blade. So I washed the blade off after all the field use and even all my food preparation. Now keeping in mind that beyond what I have filmed, I've used this to eat probably 3 or 4 more times. So I've used it over a number of different meals, and I have not yet touched the edge whatsoever. So no sharpening, no stropping or anything like this. This edge is exactly what it was, specifically straight from the factory. So we're going to do a quick little look here at how sharp this is after all the batoning, all the chopping, all the food prep, and all the different tasks I've put this through to see how the edge retention was and if it is still sharp. So the paper test. Let's see how this goes. Couple little snags. So let's do that again, nice and slow. Couple little snags. Not too bad. Little snag right there. Little snag. Tear there. Those are some pretty clean cuts. Obviously there was some snagging in there, and you know, if I look really close here, I still can't really pick up on too much. Maybe a couple tiny little, and I'm saying tiny little micro serrations, but that's the thing for me. And TFK and their D2 tool steel, their heat treatment is wonderful. They do an excellent job, very good job. And that's why, even though I think D2 might be just a little bit controversial, it's controversial with people in general, it's very polarizing. People either like it or they don't. Now, I like it. I have a very good I would say, experience with D2. It has performed extremely well for me. Now, I don't typically chunk a blade. I'm pretty careful the way I work and how I operate and what I work on, and I kind of watch things carefully. So for me, I don't typically have to really sharpen a blade. More, I need to hone it. And so I'm curious to see how this will hone up. Now, that is going to be sort of the next thing for me, getting on this, honing it up on my strops, trying to get it back to that perfect razor's edge. But I can tell by the way this is cutting, it is already darn close. It's not going to need too much, just a little bit of love to get it back to perfect, and this thing should be razor sharp, ready for action again. And again, after all that use, how does this finish look? Well, apart from some smudges from the grease, it looks very good. So nice and even on this side of the blade. A little bit down here you can see some smudging from batoning tasks and dragging the blade through the wood. But generally speaking, what I like about the acid stonewash finish is the fact that it's actually etched onto the blade, not like something like a coating that could potentially rub off. And on this side of the blade, flipping it over, the exact same story. So generally speaking, you do end up with just some slight marks, some scratches and stuff from working on the wood, but that again is one of the nice things about the acid stonewash finish. It already has kind of a marked up look, and for me personally, I do generally like my blades over time to look worn, and for me, this finish is absolutely perfect for that. And that laser etched logo, after cleaning up the blade, it is not smudged at all. That was just chunks of wood getting stuck to the blade, so no problem there. That logo is still absolutely pristine. And the TFK T17, same story there. That is just super sharp, looking mighty nice. So alright guys, there you have it, a field use review of this Outer Limitless designed TFK T17 Wilderness and Survival Blade. So for me at this point, I am very happy with the overall performance and feel in the hand. I'm not sure if I would even necessarily make any true modifications. Generally speaking, this performed exactly as I had hoped. Did a great job on the batoning tasks, gave me good overall leverage as I was trying to hold the blade straight and baton down through the wood. Had a long enough span that it was capable of spanning across some reasonable sized logs, and did a great job blowing the wood apart with ease. Then on those chopping tasks, the overall ability to really get into the wood and send chunks absolutely flying was wonderful. Now, granted, this did have the slightest bit of twisting in my hands. I think that comes at a trade-off where this has a good general overall balance and feel and fit in the hand. It's not only a chopper. This needs to be well-rounded for multiple different tasks. So the fact that while chopping and slamming onto the wood and hitting absolutely as hard as you could, the knife twisted just a little bit in my hand, I think that's perfectly acceptable and something that I am definitely okay living with. Those finer tasks and the good quality control, the edge geometry was beautiful. Felt great in the hand, nice and slicey. This blade is nice and wieldy and does a good job in general tasks. Nice and controlled with that finger choil. Good overall balance, felt excellent. Good quality in terms of the general carving tasks. So that, in my opinion, is a great sign of the quality of the grind and the grind geometry on this knife. The tip was good and strong, no deformation, no breakage, nothing like that. Did a good job with the penetration. A little uncomfortable on the stabbing tasks. Now, I don't know about you, but how often are you doing this with your knife? I mean, that's kind of like a last-ditch effort, and I don't really do that a whole heck of a lot. I pretty much only do stabbing tasks to test my blade, and in that regard, it definitely performed perfectly well. Overall, excellent comfort. The sheath, there's really not too much to review here. It is very straightforward. This actually is perfect. I used it as a cross draw on my body, and it was very nice to withdraw this knife from a cross draw position on my weak side, which is really cool. The dangler performed well. The same situation that I have mentioned in my tabletop review, the fact that I think this dangler could be reversed around in the overall loop just to get this to the point where you don't need to remove your belt to get this on your belt. That would be nice, but I have to say overall very comfortable and performed extremely well. So alright guys, there you have it. An in-depth look at this TFK T17. So alright guys, I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.